this morning I have to make up a bracket so that I can hang the movement and the dial on the back here somehow. And good morning. Hold for Queen Elizabeth. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. Yes, ma'am. I understand you have about 1,000. And most of them have Roman numerals on the dial. And that is because? You mean you and Prince Philip like it best? Your husband? The tall gentleman who stands behind you in ceremonies? Oh, we like it best. Yes, ma'am. I understand, ma'am. Yeah, I'll put the Roman numeral dial on the dial board in your honor, ma'am. Thank you, Your Majesty. It's been an honor, Your Majesty. Goodbye. Why couldn't she just have said, I like it best? We like it best. Well, I guess now is a pretty good time to talk about this. First of all, I want to thank the viewers who actually commented and sort of voted on whether they wanted the Arabic or the Roman numerals. And by far the majority was in favor of the Roman numerals. There were a few people who wanted the Arabic, and for very valid reasons too. But the Roman numerals has won out, especially now that we like it best. So I guess that's what we're going to put in there, and that's what I'm going to be working on today. You'll probably remember that I made the ring out of 12 different segments, and once they're stained, it's possible that one segment is going to be a lot darker or a much different color than the other. In other words, let's say that the 12 was at the top here, but because of the coloring it looked a little lopsided. It might have looked better like this. So before I can actually make the bracket for the back, I have to know which way up is going to look best. So I'm going to stain just the outside. I'm not going to stain here because I want to make sure that the glue sticks good to it. So I'm only going to do the outside ring. That's all that's going to be seen anyway. Now I realize I'm taking a chance here not wearing the rubber gloves. But I think if I'm careful, I won't be getting it under my fingernails. Well, as you can see, it's sort of seeping into the dial board, but it's going to be 99.9% bare anyway for gluing. I will just let that sit now for about half an hour. There. So far so good. I'll just leave it hang upside down here, and that way the stain will have a tendency to go down and not up into the dial board. Now here's something I'm going to try for the very first time. You know these bags that you get in the grocery store when you go to buy your vegetables, and you can take a little plastic bag and put your bananas in it or whatever? And if you're careful and don't puncture the bag, I'm thinking, why can't a person use these as sort of like rubber gloves? This may or may not work. You're going to see it one way or the other. I can tell right now it's a little harder to do this sort of thing. Well, it's kind of working. That's not too bad. You know what? The gloves were only like 6 cents each, but these were free. Now I do want to be careful I don't get over exuberant here and break this thing. After all, it is just little segments of wood glued together here. Mind you, I did use Titebond 3. Well, you know, I don't really see a whole lot of difference. They're all pretty much the same. So once again, I guess I could say I'm lucky. Doesn't matter how I position the dial. Well, I guess it does matter a little bit. I want to make sure that I have, say, the 12 would be right in the center of this segment, you know, and the 1 would be in the center of this segment and so on. I wouldn't want it to be, you know, slightly lopsided. I think I mentioned that before. Well, as you know, this is a chiming movement. Now, I got a problem going on here. I got to figure out how am I going to be able to mount this speaker in such a way that it's not going to interfere with the pendulum and everything in the back. So I'm at the place now where I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to make a hole in the back here for the speaker. And I sure hate to have to cut this beautiful piece of oak. But on the other hand, what am I going to do? If I keep the speaker inside the case and there is no hole, the sound is going to be kind of muffled. So there almost has to be a hole anyway so that the sound can speak out. Now I've sort of selected this segment right here for number 12. In other words, the number 12 will be right there, only on the other side. So what I'll do then is I will just make sure that the top of the movement is squared up with the center of this segment. And that way I'll be able to tell later, that is, if I have drawn a line all the way around here, if the movement has slipped, you know, one way or the other out of place, I'll be able to see. And just make things a little easier here. Okay, so now when I take the movement off for any reason, it's quite easy to put it back on in exactly the same place. Well, it took a lot of thinking, and I finally figured out how to hang it up on the back. So it took me about 5 hours to figure out what to do here, and I finally got at it. And the idea is that when this is folded up, it makes it a lot easier to change the batteries. And all it does is it hangs on this little hook. This is just a little cup cupboard hook for hanging cups on. Probably had it for many years. And I've left the movement loose, by the way, because I want to make sure that the minute hand is right at the very top when the gong actually goes off. And then what I'll do after I've got that set, then I'll put a little block of wood down the sides to hold it so it doesn't twist. So, oh, one more thing. I did put a couple of screws in the front, and they went into this block of wood here. And the reason for that is epoxy glue, after many years, can get brittle. And if this was to break off right here, then the whole thing would fall down and possibly damage the pendulum. I hope this happens long after I'm gone, but this clock will probably be around for a few years. Probably a lot longer than me. Now, you remember I was talking about plastic bags? I found it works better if you put an elastic band up around your arm. Keeps them from falling down all the time. And this actually does sort of work. It's not as good as rubber gloves, but like I say, they were free. Just have to remember not to damage them when you're bringing them home from the store. Well, I guess the next thing to do now is to glue the dial in place and then make the door. The door is going to be a very simple door, but I guess that's going to be the next video. So, thanks for watching.